friends, it's me, Jessica Glaspie. This is my very first YouTube video for my blog, Relationship Recovery. If you haven't been to the site, I encourage you to go check it out. It's yourrelationshiprecovery.com. I'll link it down in the description box. Relationship recovery is all about healing after heartbreak and getting through loss so you can have more successful relationships in the future. And so I focus a lot on giving you practical insights that help you deal with your pain, let it go, forgive, and move on. Okay, so in this first video today, I want to talk about something that I think is kind of important. I originally wrote this post during the holidays. It talked about how to celebrate good moments in times of sadness, but I really think that the lessons that we can learn from that subject, we could look at all year round. So I'd like to start by telling you a story. And one of the things you'll learn about me if you subscribe to the channel is that I usually start with a story, or will have a story. I'm a storyteller. It's what I do. So that's how we're gonna get started, okay? So in 2014, late 2014, my mother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. It was stage 4. She was terminal. And so we all thought it was the end for her, and it was. And so during that time, my sister and I, we were taking care of her and helping her with her final affairs. And I remember talking to her one day, and I was actually engaged at the time, and I was supposed to get married later in 2015. And I told her that, you know, I just didn't think I could get married without her being there, because we were sure that she wasn't going to make it to that day. And I said, I just feel like if I got married and you weren't there, I'd be crying the whole time. I would be a mess. I wouldn't know, you know, what to do with myself. And I remember she listened to me quietly and, you know, heard everything I had to say. And then she asked me this question, and I'll never forget it. She said to me, "Why would you want your pictures to look like that?" And I thought it was the oddest thing to say, because, you know, why are you worried about pictures and I'm telling you how much I'm going to miss you, right? But her point in saying that to me was that you cannot let the good moments become sour just because one bad thing happened to you. Like in my case, a wedding day was supposed to be a very happy occasion, something to be celebrated forever. And she didn't want me to be in a space where I kept looking back in the pictures and regretting the fact that I was so upset during that day. Okay, so in that moment, it really opened my eyes and helped me to see that I really wasn't focusing on those good moments like I should. And so I'd like to share a couple things with you that I think we can all do when it comes to remembering to celebrate those good moments, even when we don't feel the best, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about is that when you feel sad, like let's say it's a holiday or it's some kind of celebration or anything like that, the first thing you want to do is deal with your feelings, okay? Deal with your feelings. So it can be a year, it can be 2 years, it can be 5 years, okay? You might still be crying about it, and you might ask yourself a question like, it's been 5 years since this happened. Why do I still cry like it just happened yesterday? Why does the pain feel so fresh? And the reality of it is that grief has no timeline. It's not time bound. You might hear some people say that grief goes through stages, which is not completely accurate. But one thing we want to understand is that we are going to feel how we feel in the time frame that we do. And because there's no cap on grief or our pain or our feelings, our job is to work through them and not to feel guilty about them no matter how much time has passed. So that's what we want to make sure we are doing. We want to address our feelings, because when we address our feelings, we can heal from them. Okay. The second thing I want to talk to you about is about being intentional about enjoying yourself. Okay. So I know that seems like it might be easy to do, but let me give you an example. So for me, I tend to withdraw from people when I become sad. So if I lose someone or I'm dealing with some pain or things like that, I withdraw. And at one point, I used to think that I just thrived off negativity and wanted to be one of those, oh, woe is me, Debbie Downer kind of people, and just, live in my feelings. But that wasn't the case at all. Like, withdrawing was my natural thing. That was my natural way of coping, my default mode, okay, if you will. So it was the thing that I go to when I feel sad. So in those moments, it takes a lot for me to be able to just get out of the bed and go on about my day. I have to be intentional every day about getting out of that bed and going to do what I have to do. Okay, and so I encourage you to do the same thing. For you, it may be easier, or you might be someone like me who struggles and has some default mode where you withdraw from people, or you practice other habits that you feel like keeps you away from people. Whatever it is, I want you to be intentional about enjoying yourself in those moments, okay? The loved one that we've lost would want us to. The third thing I want to talk to you about is doing something that reminds you of that person. Okay, so we're talking about grief loss specifically for this one. I just want to be clear. For example, every year my mother used to cook a huge Christmas dinner. It was a big deal. She'd always ask us what we wanted. My sister would want green bean casserole, which is gross, but we won't go into that. And I would ask for fresh collard greens, not those store-bought frozen ones, but those real ones, where you gotta wash them several times and soak them and cut them up and put that smoked meat in there, and they gotta simmer for a few hours. Yes, honey, I'm talking about those. I would ask her for those and a homemade pound cake, because she made the best pound cake from scratch. So when she was dying, that was a tradition that almost got lost and almost left with her, because she didn't share any of her recipes until the very, very end. So every year, now that my sister and I have the recipes, we cook that same dinner, and we laugh and we talk about her and we make jokes about her, and it's something that used to be painful is now something that doesn't hurt as bad, because we're able to use the tradition that we had to remember her. Okay, so I encourage you to do the same. If it's something that you used to do with your loved one that still warms your heart and makes you want to get out there and live your life, then I encourage you to do that. Okay, that is a great way to work through pain, and it really helps in the long run. Okay. The fourth thing I want to talk to you about is really embracing those good moments. Okay, so when things go well, it can be common to wonder, is this going to keep going well? Like, you almost feel like, is the shoe gonna drop? Like, when is the next shoe gonna drop? When is the next bad thing gonna happen? But in those moments, that's when we really have to remember that we have to live in those good moments when we can, because this life is short and there are going to be bad moments. It's guaranteed that we are all going to have bad moments. And since we know that, and that is a guarantee, we have to be really, really intentional about living in those good moments, really celebrating them and enjoying them. So that's what I encourage you to do, to really sit in those moments and enjoy them and celebrate them. Okay? Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about, and I know you're like, Jessica, this is really long. I don't know why you're still talking, but I promise I'm almost done. So stick with me for the last point. So the last thing I want to talk to you about, okay, is make new traditions. Okay, so making new traditions will help you want to really get out there and live your life. It's a great way to really celebrate those good moments and to really move forward, and it really helps to alleviate the pain. So I want you to think about something that you always wanted to do, always wanted to try. It could be on your person's death anniversary. It could be on a holiday. It could be on any celebratory day that you have. I want you to think of something that you always wanted to do, and I want you to make a tradition and start doing it every year or every month or however your cycles go. I want you to start practicing it. And I guarantee that if you start doing that, you will start seeing a little ease in your pain slowly but surely. It doesn't erase the memories that you had of the person, but it definitely helps with healing your heart so you can move forward and live your life without that constant ache and that pain that you were so used to before you started trying to really get into the healing process. Okay? So I want to close by saying this. We all deal with pain, and that's okay because that's life, and life is short and life can be painful, but we don't have to stay there. You know, if we are really intentional about healing and dealing with our feelings and our grief and working on embracing those good moments, I honestly feel like we can get the help that we need and really heal from our pain and learn to embrace those good moments in times of sadness. So what I want you to do is click that subscribe button and go over and check out my blog for some really good inspiration. I have a lot of really great stuff on there, and I'll be bringing more videos to you soon, and I look forward to hanging out with you some more. We'll talk later.